I'm Darren Horton. They were from different generations, fields apart. So what could a Hall of Fame baseball legend possibly have in common with an NFL hopeful 40 years his junior? From an inexplicable tragedy comes hope, inspiration, and an athletic legacy unlike anything we've ever seen. He was the real-life natural, a baseball player touched by the gods.
Everything came so easy to me as a player.
There's a drive to left field, base hit. There's number 3,000.
His accolades endless, a 7-time batting champion, over 3,000 hits.
As an athlete, you control what you're going to do on the field, basketball, baseball, whatever. And I know for a fact that he's the one that's in control.
The 18-time All-Star finished his career with a .328 lifetime batting average. After 19 years in the big leagues, he retired, becoming a first-ballot Hall of Famer.
First, Rodney Cline Carew.
After baseball, he focused on raising his family and playing lots of golf, often here at Cresta Verde in Corona. But on the morning of September 20th, 2015, after a typical opening tee shot, just 4 weeks shy of his 70th birthday, Rod Carew's life changed forever.
When I was putting my driver back into my bag, I had like an indigestion burn, which, you know, I just thought it was an indigestion burn, but then my hands got real clammy. The next thing I remember is I was laying on the floor, and the paramedic, one of them had the zappers in his hand, and he was yelling, "Let's go, damn it, let's go, we're losing him, we're losing him." Bang, I flatlined, and I was gone.
When doctors resuscitated and finally stabilized him, the damage to his heart's left ventricle was irreparable. Surgeons installed this left ventricular assist device, also known as an LVAD, into his chest. And for 15 months, with the help of this device, Carew embarked on a fight to stay alive.
My LVAD was starting to wear.
That is, until the accompanying blood thinners Carew had to take led to other complications.
I started developing bleeds on my inside, and then 2 of them went to my brain.
The emergency surgeries to stop the bleeding in his brain heightened the urgency for a new heart and kidney. By December of 2016, with his condition worsening, Carew was elevated on the heart transplant list. And waiting on a donor's list is something the Carews are all too familiar with. You see, 21 years ago, his daughter Michelle spent 7 months on a donor list, desperately awaiting a bone marrow match.
When she was in the hospital, I would sit or lay in bed with her, and she'd always say, "Daddy, you can't see my guardian angel, but he's right over there in the corner. He's got a light going over him."
Tragically, that bone marrow match was never found. And on April 17, 1996, at the age of 18, Michelle Carew died of leukemia. Now, 20 years later, her father found himself in the same predicament, praying for a different fate.
I prayed to God every day, and I got down on my knees at times and begged him to keep me here so I can keep doing his work.
The work Carew is referring to are the millions he's helped fundraise on behalf of cancer research, as well as Be the Match, the largest bone marrow donor program in the nation, and his personal mission to prevent heart disease through the foundation that bears his number, Heart of 29. Meanwhile, 12 miles down the road in San Juan Capistrano.
Instead of harping about things that I can't control as much, I focus on the things that I can control, which is my attitude, my energy, my effort.
Another professional athlete was waging a very different kind of battle. 6'6", 270-pound Conrad Ruland, who played tight end for the New York Jets and Baltimore Ravens, was fighting to keep his NFL dreams alive. In the summer of 2016, he had been in training camp with the Indianapolis Colts, but didn't land a roster spot. He spent most of the fall staying in game shape, hoping to catch on as a mid-season replacement. And while he had gotten a few calls, by November, he had yet to sign with anyone.
We had Thanksgiving here. He was fine.
But on that Saturday following Thanksgiving, as he was completing a workout, Ruland felt something unusual behind his left eye.
So he called at around 10 o'clock that night, and he talked to Warren.
And he told me about that he had a headache and he felt a click behind his left eye and really intense throbbing pain localized to one region. So I was thinking to myself, this doesn't sound like a normal headache. So I gave the phone to my dad, who's a physician.
So Ralph got on the phone with him and told him, you know, we need to rule out an aneurysm.
By the time Mary and Ralph Ruland got to the hospital, doctors had the CAT scan results. Their worst fear, now a reality.
They told us that he did indeed have an aneurysm and that it was pretty bad. My first question, is this because of football? And the doctor said right away, no, this is something that he's had for a while and was quite possibly born with.
Conrad was immediately transferred to UCLA Medical Center by ambulance. With his family by his side, he prepared to fight. His mother, Mary, determined to encourage him, sent him a text message.
And his response was, thanks for the pep talk. I'm going to kick this thing's butt with the help of God. This is something that had to manifest in order for it to happen. I can't wait to see where his will brings me. 2
hours after that text message, the aneurysm burst. Doctors performed a 17-hour surgery in an effort to save his life. His body would survive, but his brain in a coma. 12 days later, on December 12th, doctors pronounced Conrad Ruland brain dead.
This wasn't even a fight handed to him. This was just a sentence. Basically, he wasn't going to survive this. It was in a bad place, and it was bad, and it was big.
The Rulands would spend their final day with their firstborn son, laying their heads on his chest, simply listening to his heart.
Before he passed, obviously, we knew how grave it was, and we didn't know if we'd ever hear that heartbeat again.
Forced to say goodbye far too soon is something no parent should ever have to do. But what the Rulands didn't realize in that moment is that Conrad's athletic legacy was actually just beginning. Coming up, a new team is formed as KTLA's Take 5 to Care, the Gift of Life, continues.
I know that the big man upstairs is he's gonna do with it what he wants, and that's just in life in general. That transcends sports.
Welcome back to The Gift of Life. I'm Darren Horton. A young athlete meets a baseball hero, but yet years later, it's Conrad Ruland who would actually become the hero to Rod Carew.
He was energetic. He was the hardest worker I know. He was a good guy, had a big heart.
He gave of himself, and it's one of the things I remember about him. Life is precious, and it can change in an instant.
As the Rulands said goodbye and began planning a funeral, doctors also began planning, honoring a decision that Conrad had made just 8 months prior. Mary Ruland distinctly remembers the conversation in their kitchen.
He was home, and he goes, oh, I never did my driver's license renewal. He's sitting there, and he gets to the question where it says, Mom, they're asking if I want to be a donor. He said, what do you think? I said, Conrad, that is totally your decision. And he says, So, Mom, are you one? And I said, well, yes, I am. I figured if I can't use my organs anymore and if they can help somebody, why not? He says, I'm going to do it. That was April. Conrad died on December 12th. They kept Conrad's body on life support so that he could do this final donation.
5 days after being elevated on the heart transplant list, Rod Carew received the call of a lifetime.
I had this deep smile inside of me. Yeah, they didn't forget about me.
Not only had they located a matching kidney, but this same donor had a heart like Carew's that was immune to hepatitis B. And that was just the beginning in a string of serendipitous circumstances. Remember his foundation named after his jersey number, Heart of 29?
I told the doctors, guys, you got to find me a 29-year-old heart. I says, I want to be able to go back out and sign a new contract and see if I can get some more base hits,
Those words, seemingly said in jest, turned out to be prophetic. You see, Conrad Ruland was 29 years old when he died.
One of the last things I said when I left the hospital, we want to know who gets this good heart. And I kind of said something, maybe sarcastic, maybe not, but I said they better deserve it.
It was an unprecedented surgery, the first time in recorded history one professional athlete had donated organs to another. But at that point, no one knew. But shortly after the 13-hour surgery concluded and the news that Rod Carew had received a heart transplant made national headlines, a small community in South Orange County began connecting some dots.
At Conrad's funeral on the 23rd of December, several people came up to me and said, Mary, do you think maybe it's Conrad's heart and kidney is in Rod Carew? I didn't know. I came home and I started looking on the internet, and I looked up Rod Carew. In his story, it said that he had the heart of 29, and I thought that he at that point already knew that he had Conrad's heart because Conrad was 29 when he passed.
Like Mary Ruland, Rhonda Carew was getting similar calls. Turns out the Rulands and the Carews had a number of mutual friends.
I called her, and it was the most difficult call of my life. I think I said something like, "This is Mary Ruland. I think your husband may have my son's heart and kidney."
Mary and I talking on the phone, it was like talking to someone I have known forever but hadn't talked to in a while. We just talked and talked and talked.
During that conversation, the two ladies quickly discovered that their families had a lot in common. For starters, their kids went to the same middle school. In fact, Rod's son Devin was once a teammate of Warren Ruland.
I played on Devin's team, the basketball team in middle school.
And there's more. During one of these basketball games, they discovered that an 11-year-old Conrad had actually met a 52-year-old baseball legend.
His mom tells a story. When she went to pick him up, the first thing he says, "I met Rod Carew." "Do you ever meet Rod Carew?" "Well, I met Rod Carew today." And that was the last time that I'd seen him.
But the question remained, could that chance meeting have possibly come full circle? There was much speculation, but it had yet to be confirmed. Was Conrad Ruland's heart transplanted into Rod Carew? Mary Ruland believed it to be, but Rhonda Carew still wasn't convinced.
Rod was a B blood type. When we asked what Conrad's blood type was, and it came back an O, I thought, okay, that's it, there's no way. There's just no way, because it would go to an O, as it should.
Conrad was a universal donor. He was an O negative. He could donate to anybody.
For confirmation, a protocol would have to be broken. One legacy typically waits a year before providing information and permitting contact between donors and transplantees.
We need to make sure that people understand that this was total by chance. So I finally said, I believe that Rod Carew has Conrad's heart and left kidney. She paused for a while and she says, yes, he does. And yes, it is Rod Carew.
And with those words, a new bond was forged, a new family born, centered around the love of a heart. 5 weeks after that phone call, the Carews came by for a visit. Conrad Ruland's heart came home.
There it is.
And it was beating here in the house. It's hard to...
It's pretty surreal. My word for it is bittersweet.
It's good to know that he is helping people, live on, but it's also at the same time, it's sad that it has to come from our brother who we love so much. It makes the mourning process a little bit easier because, part of him still is on this earth, and some of his organs are still keeping people alive.
I love that his story is getting out, that so many people can realize there's so much negative news. It's so great to read something so positive.
This is Mary Beth Berry. She has been following Conrad Ruland's story since it began. In fact, she is part of it. You see, while Rod Carew received Conrad's heart and left kidney, it is Mary Beth Berry who received his right one.
I've already walked 9 miles today.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and so I get up out of bed, I'm like, boy, I better exercise this great kidney.
After 6 years on dialysis, Berry has a new lease on life.
Have you ever stopped to think, one part of you used to play in the NFL, and you're also connected, you share an organ with a Hall of Fame baseball player?
It's beyond anything I ever imagined.
Conrad's organs have not only provided new life, but for the recipients, there has also been some new desires.
So now I've got this urge to drink coffee. No sugar, a little bit of cream.
Just the way Conrad took it. Cream, no sugar, right?
Yeah.
I found that very interesting.
Yeah, making soup. It's like, I've been making soup like crazy. My husband, what are you doing with the soup? It's every single day the soup.
I made a lot of soups and stews and stuff. That's interesting. That floors me.
But far beyond these new physical cravings is a newfound passion to champion a cause that not only saved their lives, but has given birth to a new family related through organs. Coming up, the Carews and the Rulands reunite right here on our stage when the gift of life continues. Typically in death, there is no positive, but surviving family members of organ donors would tell you there is a modicum of peace knowing that part of your loved one lives on. Welcome back to Take 5 to Care, the Gift of Life. Joining us in studio, Rod Carew and his wife Rhonda Carew, Conrad's parents, Dr. Ralph Ruland, Mary Ruland, and Conrad's brother, Austin Ruland. And I just want to start with the relationship that has developed here amongst you all. You call each other family, huh, Rod?
Yes, definitely. You know, you can't go through something like this and not be touched by the other family and not care about the other family. And so when we had the opportunity to meet Ralph and Mary and Austin, couldn't wait.
Dr. Ruland, what is it like for you to be able to get together with the Carews and to be able to hear your son's heartbeat?
It's wonderful, it's emotional, it's magical, all of the above. It's hard to put into words what you feel, you know, when you see Rod come over and knowing that Conrad's heart is beating inside.
That's what I had to do too, Darren. The first time we met, I felt the same, I had the same feelings that Ralph just had. And I had to tell myself, you gotta control it, especially when Mary had her head on my chest listening to Conrad's heart beat. I said, you can't cry now, you gotta man up right now, you know. And I was so happy for her, you know, because I felt the joy that was taking over her whole body and soul when she was listening to his heartbeat.
Yeah, Mary, what was it like for you?
The first time I heard his heart, well, we went from probably the lowest, the most horrible thing that could happen to any family, losing a child like that and a brother. You know, Warren, the middle brother, couldn't be here, unfortunately. But so we went from a very down time and very grief-stricken to a time of, I like to call it a mixed bag of emotions, but to hear my oldest son's heart beating again was magical. It was knowing that he's still up here, and not only just in spirit and in guidance and so forth, but also physically. There's physical parts of him still up here.
Austin, you were there at that first meeting. You also heard your brother's heart. For you, what did you experience?
For me, it was comforting, knowing that a part of Conrad is still down here working, and he picked a guy like Rod to carry out his legacy and do his work for him. We're really thankful that Rod and Rhonda want to be a part of our family now, because I've heard that only 1% of donor families get to meet the recipients.
For people that see this story and they want to consider being a donor, what would your message be, Mary, for them?
Don't be afraid of it. I mean, there's myths out there you know, about, oh, maybe they won't really work hard enough to save my loved one if they know that he's an organ donor. Because that obviously, when Conrad was in my kitchen and checked that box, I thought of that. You know, I was like, oh gosh, you know. But I can honestly say, they couldn't have worked any harder to save my boy. I don't even know if the doctors and all of them know that he's an organ donor until the very end.
Doctors told us that Conrad would save or enhance the lives of up to 75 people.
Yeah.
That right there that's magical. That's a miracle in itself. And if you're not going to use those organs anymore, like, why not give someone else the chance to live life the way they want it, you know?
And Austin, it's not difficult, right? You said driving up here, you signed up, huh?
I was pulling into KTLA and realized, you know what? I need to stop waiting. I want to be an organ donor. I've wanted to for a while. Pulled out my phone. It took me no more than 2 minutes. Wow. It's that easy. There are hundreds of thousands of people waiting for a transplant in America. And it's stories like this that will lead more people to register and lead to more miracles in the future.
There and here's living proof, you know, living proof that what a gift. I got a heck of a gift.
You got a Ferrari.
I am going to take that Ferrari along with me on every trip. Here is a kid I met a long time ago, and he saved my life. He's given me the opportunity to live. And I promised him, I said, we're going to live together and we're going to live good together.
Well, we'd like to thank the Ruland family, the Carew family, Mary Beth Berry, and One Legacy, as well as the American Heart Association. I'm Darren Horton. Thank you for watching this special edition of Take 5 to Care, the Gift of Life.